Gun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Mondays and Fridays, I'm live, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's the Carriker Chronicles. It's the Big Ten show. If you haven't put together, and Wednesday, Steve Taylor, former All-American Nebraska quarterback, one of the greatest to ever do it, drops the knowledge here from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. If you didn't know, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time is the fastest hour in radio each and every day here on 93.7 The Ticket. Grab your lunch. Come join me. We'll enjoy our lunch hour together. You can eat. I can flap my gums. Hopefully some fun and knowledge at some point is exchanged during that lunch hour every day as well. And here's what we're going to talk about today. As always, it's the Loaded Show. Might as well just start calling it the Loaded Show. I want to talk about Dylan Raiola's hype. Should we manage it? Should we just roll with it? Should we let the Kool-Aid flow? What do we really need from him? What is fair? Expectations, hype. Let's chat about that. Heinrich Haarberg's importance. I've said it in a couple of Carriker Chronicles shows that I've done this offseason. He may be the most important player on this team that is not being called the most important player on this team just yet. I'm not saying he's the most important player. I'm saying his importance may be overlooked just a smidge, whether he starts or not. Sure looks like it's going to be Dylan. Nobody's been named the starter. But even if it is Dylan, Daniel, whoever the case may be, seems to be Dylan. Whether Haarberg starts or not, he's one of the most important players on this team. I'm going to talk about that. Also, let's chat about Daniel Kaelin. We have 3 quarterbacks on this team. No disrespect to anybody in the quarterbacks room last year, but we have 3 quarterbacks on this team right here, right now, that I believe are better than the quarterback play we had a year ago. That includes Haarberg. He's better than he was a year ago. I think he showed that at the spring game. And that includes Daniel Kaelin. Also, I got nothing but love and respect for him so far in his very young career. Going to talk about that. Also, all right, Tristan Alvano. I know nothing about kicking, but here's what I do know. I know physically changers don't kick. Physically kickers, easy for me to say, don't change much year from year to year. So one of the best high school kickers in the country, okay, comes in, has a rough true freshman year. All right, no problem. Young guy, learning, adjusting, big environment, lots of excitement. We get it. In-state kid means a lot to him. Heart's pumping, adrenaline's flowing. Cool, no problem. Has a rough spring game. All right, now technically it's just the 15th practice of the spring, so it's not actually a game. So how much stock do we put in it? How does it get rolling? Because I do understand the psychology of sports, at least to a certain degree. That is the biggest difference with kickers from year to year. Okay, they don't tend to fall off a cliff like quarterbacks do when they're like year 12, 15, 18 in the NFL, whatever the case may be. Or if you're Tom Brady, played a year 89, amazing. The mental approach to the game, the psychology from the neck up, the 6 inches between the ears. If you can just get a little bit of confidence, show him some support in the meantime. No, it's not being a snowflake because the potential, the physical ability is there. Just got to get him rolling a little bit. Going to chat about that a smidge. Mitch Sherman of The Athletic will join me at 12:30. Man knows his Husker football. Does a great job covering Husker sports on The Athletic. As always, we've got the people's, not even the people's segment. Like the whole hour is the people's hour. It's the people's hour. It's the loaded hour. It's the Adam Carriker on the ticket hour, whatever you want to call it. Lunch hour, the lunch show, where we're having fun. As always, send me your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, and or otherwise. And instead of waiting until the end of the show, I'm just getting to them. I'm reading comments. I'm reading questions throughout the show as they come in. 402-464-5685. All right. At the very end, don't give me no crap. Oh, I don't want to hear about Deion. Everyone wants to hear about Deion. He's a celebrity amongst celebrities. I don't want to hear about Colorado football. Yes, you do. You just want to pretend you don't, and then secretly you do. And even if you really don't, I'm going to talk about it anyways. All right, Coach Prime's insanity. My favorite NFL player of all time. I've been told I should pick a different player. Too late. He retired. I can't go back and unpick him. And I don't watch the NFL enough anymore. I'm a college football nerd, connoisseur, junkie. And I watch the NFL from time to time when I have nothing better to do on Sundays, which isn't very often, until week 18. Then all of a sudden it becomes very interesting. Week 18 on, I'm now an NFL connoisseur. But this is what happens when the regular season doesn't matter. I hope that doesn't come to play in college football too much in the near future. But Coach Prime's insanity. Okay, now admittedly, I picked the word insanity because it is catchy. Obviously, I want people to listen. I don't know if that's the exact word, but it's not far off because it's kind of insane what's going on. What I can say, never seen anything like it in college football. Never seen anything like it from a college football coach before. That I can say. Lane Kiffin, you want to talk about social media? Lane Kiffin does a phenomenal job on social media because Deion kind of struggles, okay? And that's what's gotten him into hot water, Shadur into hot water, former players are coming out and speaking, etc. That's what makes him so entertaining. Whether you like Deion or not, Shadur, Shiloh, all of his kids, I don't know all their names, I apologize, Colorado or not, most of us don't. It's what makes it entertaining. It's what makes it worth talking about because it is eye-catching. It is entertainment, and it is worth talking about. Lane Kiffin does a great job on social media. He is funny. He can take jabs without coming across as disrespectful. He is just a fun follow on social media. Deion is entertaining and polarizing, I guess, if you could call him fun. I do think there's some insanity in there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, real quick before we light this candle, dive into these topics. Bonsall Pools. All right, they are putting in my family's pool. Going to break ground here in about a month or so. We'll be putting up pictures, updating, but you can check them out at bonzalpool.com. They have swimming pools, hot tubs, saunas. They will service your swimming pool, hot tub, sauna, etc. All right, bonzalpool.com. They are located in Pioneer Plaza, 3201 Pioneer Plaza, number 30, Lincoln, Nebraska. Phone number 402-488-0148. That's 402-488-0148. All right. Hope you're all having a glorious Friday. Let's light this candle. Dylan Raiola. This is an individual, highly recruited, as we know, highly touted, highly sought of. Okay. And comes to Nebraska, has all the expectations in the world. You just, before I ever saw him take a rep in practice, you watch him just as he's walking around, just like a normal human being. He doesn't look like he's a true freshman. He looks like he's 19, 21, 22 years old. He looks every bit of 220. Okay. And then just the way he carries himself, kind of a calm, confident demeanor, goes out in the spring game, plays really, really well. All right. Let's go through all the quarterback stats really quick. Dylan Raiola, 16 of 22, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. If you didn't know, okay, albeit a practice with a bunch of defenders missing, okay, that he was going against, and a defense that didn't blitz a lot, and in a setting where Rule said he wants to air it out, and he wants it to be like an air raid type show. Mike Leach would have been proud. Okay, so we kind of knew what to expect. We knew what Matt Rule was hoping for. It's what we got. That all being said, 239 yards is more passing yards than any Nebraska quarterback passed for in a single game last year. Okay. Harburg, 8 of 13. 18 of 13 would be a miracle. That'd be awesome. But 8 of 13, 163 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Again, look much improved. I talked about ad nauseum last season about how it was his mechanics. Seen the guy throw, seen him throw, know he can throw, know he's got arm strength. It was his mechanics. Glenn Thomas is clearly the new quarterback's coach, co-offensive coordinator, has clearly made a huge impact in that quarterback room as a whole, especially with Heinrich Harburg, because you can see the improvement in his throwing. We know he can run. We know he's big. He's physical. He runs hard. He's got very deceptive speed. He's throwing much better. Okay. Daniel Kalen, 8 of 16, 91 yards. I'm going to get to him in a second. But this is a guy that I've mentioned on the ticket before, on the Carriker Chronicles. I know for a fact in that Nebraska football building, they believe he's an NFL quarterback one day. That's who's, no depth chart has been released, but that's who's probably third string right now. Not knowing for sure, but just seems like a guy that they see as a future NFL quarterback. All right, just a couple other random stats. Rushing, Dante Dowdell, 7 rushes for 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. The second half was kind of his show. All right, Emmett Johnson, who may have a very early edge as the starting running back, but Gabe Irvin's coming back. How's Dante going to do throughout camp? Ramir Johnson, what's going to happen when he comes back from injury? A guy who's always seemed like a good football player. Okay, and I believe it was Rutgers, 3-4 years ago when he started, and he had a great game. That couldn't have been during COVID. Was it that long ago? I don't remember the exact year. But he had 5 rushes for 25 yards. Receiving, Jalen Lloyd led all receivers, 3 receptions, 97 yards, the long touchdown from Dylan Raiola. When it comes to Dylan, here are my thoughts. The ceiling is high or higher than any quarterback we've ever had here at the University of Nebraska, especially when it just comes to throwing the ball. Now, he's mobile. He can move within the pocket. He could probably take off and run if he wanted to. That's not what he looks to do. He's mobile. He has pocket awareness, especially for his young age. That's something that usually takes time. Okay, and he'll get more and more of it as he gets older. But he's a guy who can move around, who can scramble, who can buy time, who can throw the ball from really unusual angles. And because of his arm strength, get it there. What he does is he stretches the field. What he does is he takes the ceiling of Nebraska's offense, honestly, through the roof. The potential. Now, what do we need from him? I don't know that we need all that, because we've had high expectations before, and how's that worked out for some players? A majority of players in recent memory. Not taking a dig at anybody. You let players' names pop into your mind at will. If you don't want to, that's fine too. We don't need that right out the gate, especially from a true freshman. Okay, first year potentially starting here at the University of Nebraska. We don't need all that because it could backfire. It's backfired in the past. We've had, I was going to say coaches, but a particular coach, high expectations, didn't go so well. Okay, so what do we need? We know what the expectation and potential is. We know what he does for the ceiling of this offense, but what do we need? Because if you expect too much from a young kid, the floor becomes way lower. We don't need a low floor. Matt Rule's talked about, man, Nebraska's had the highs on offense, but it's the lows that kill us. We don't need the lows. Let's avoid the lows. Let's not inhibit the kid. Okay? I say kid with respect, but, he's much younger than I am. I turned 40 on Monday, by the way. I'm going to handle my 40th birthday 1,000 times better than I handled my 30. I pouted like a petulant child. 40 is like, great, bring it on. Life's great. I've accepted that I'm of middle age, and it's okay. I'm all right with that. I've got young kids. They keep me young. I'm still technically young. I digress. Not about me. The fact of the matter is, last year, Nebraska's quarterbacks completed 52% of their passes. The national average was 64%. So we completed just over 50% of the forward passes that we attempted. Opposing teams completed almost 2/3. That's huge. Not only that, not a single Nebraska quarterback had more touchdown passes than interceptions. I've talked about it before. To be a good quarterback, you need to complete somewhere around 2/3 of your passes. Okay, a minimum of 60. Minimum. You're not even in the conversation as a good throwing quarterback. 70 is phenomenal. 66, 2/3, ideal. Okay, but a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio is what you're looking for. You want to be great, it's got to be better than 2-to-1. Okay, we didn't have a quarterback who threw as many, let alone more touchdown passes than INTs last year. So here's what I'd like. Here's what we need. We need to execute, and I'm not trying to make a joke of this, just being honest. We just need to execute handoffs, okay? We need to be able to put guys in motion and not snap the ball into them. Again, I'm not making fun of anybody. These are things that happened. I don't like talking about it. I don't like pointing it out, okay? We need to execute little things. When we're running with the ball, moving around the pocket, taking off and running against the quarterback, if that's what we do, hold on to the ball. The other thing, let's complete at least 60% of our passes. From a true freshman, I'd take 60%. We can have more, phenomenal. And can we have a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio? 60% of our passes, execute the little things, 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. And that is a gigantic difference maker for our quarterbacks going into next year. And that's all we need. If we get 70% completion percentage, 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, if we get whatever, great. 60%, 2-to-1, execute the little things, and we probably would have won 2 to 3 more games last year. And that's not a shot at anybody in that quarterback room. Not a single one. 2 of the guys who started last year aren't here. Wish them the best in their new endeavors at new schools. I believe Jeff Sims is going to Arizona State. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I saw. Wish him the best. Purdy as well. Harburg's back, and Harburg's better, so much love to him. But that's all we need. That's really all we need. We expect the defense to be even better, the offensive line to be even better. We got more weapons at wide receiver. The running back room, that picture about as clear as mud, who's going to start and get those reps. But part of that's because there's a lot of talented guys back there. Who's going to step up, take the bull by the horns? You only really need 2, so you have a nice rotation. 3 would be great, so a rotation, and if somebody gets banged up, somebody can come in and join that rotation, or you can have a 3 running back rotation. 1's the minimum, obviously. If you got more than 3, put them back as kick returners, although we got some guys like Ja'Cory Barney and some other guys who can make some people miss when they return the ball. Heinrich Harburg. All right, here's the deal. Harburg is the only guy with starting experience in that room. He's got veteran leadership. He understands what it takes. He knows what it's like to be through adversity. He knows what it's like to be dissected and analyzed like only a guy who started as a Nebraska quarterback can do. He knows what all that's like. So he's the only guy who can relay any of that to whoever the starter is, even if it's himself or Dylan. Again, Dylan appears to be the favorite at this point in time for obvious reasons. Matt Rule's not named a starter just yet because he wants to continue to give everyone an opportunity to prove themselves and honestly push themselves competition. Harburg's also a guy who, if he is the backup quarterback, he might be one of the best backup quarterbacks in the entire Big Ten. You know, the last time we made it through an entire season with one quarterback without the starter getting hurt was 2017, Tanner Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 7 years ago, over half a decade. We always have to have a backup quarterback ready to go. In fact, the past few years, we've needed 3 guys at certain points to start games. Last year notwithstanding. And I've talked about this before. I'm not the only one, so I'm going to throw it out there again real quick. He's the Swiss Army knife of this offense. You don't have to give Dylan Raiola a million plays if you just give a little package to Heinrich Harburg, who should be able to handle more plays because he's been around longer. And now the defense has more to prepare for, while Dylan does not have more to get ready for. If Dylan struggles, if whoever the starter is struggles, you need to just give him a breather because he's a young kid, lot going on. Put Harburg out there for a series or 2. Give him time to recoup. Heinrich Harburg is one of the most important players on this team that I don't think is important is recognized enough, in my humble opinion. Daniel Kalen, really quick. Love everything about this kid. Said it a million times. He handles himself like a professional with class. He doesn't whine, complain. You watch him at the podium, the press conferences. He acts like he's done it a million times. I will tell you right now, I still remember the first time I was ever asked to go talk in front of the media. I was sweating bullets, and not just because I'm big and I sweat a lot, but because I was nervous as all get out. And I avoided that for 3 years. I never did it again for 3 years. I would walk around the entire building to avoid talking to the media. Nothing against the media. I just didn't like talking publicly. I know, shocker, right? My senior year, I was fortunate enough to make a lot of plays. All of a sudden, Keith Mann, who's the guy I now have to track down to get interviews from. By the way, shout out to Keith. Most of the time. Much love, Keith. He's like, you got to go. You're the guy they want. One of the guys they want, which is a blessing. I didn't exactly enjoy it. It took me a long time to figure out that I actually enjoyed talking publicly. I didn't absolutely suck at it. And that's how I ended up here today. Hopefully I can keep fooling everybody, including DP. I enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. But Daniel Kalen is much better at it than most 18-year-old kids. Most kids who could be getting ready to go to their high school prom right now. All right. When you look at Tristan Alvano real quick, we got a couple minutes. We're going to take a break. And we're going to bring on Mitch Sherman. He's going to drop that knowledge from his perspective from The Athletic. But before we do that, Tristan Alvano. So here's a tweet from @HuskGuys on Twitter. Give him a follow if you'd like. Tristan Alvano was one of the best kickers in the country coming out of high school. Okay, this is his tweet. Since getting to Nebraska, he missed 6 field goals last year and missed 2 more in the spring game. Is it just youth? ? The yips? ? And then he says, obviously unfair to compare anyone to Alex Henry, but Henry missed 8 field goals over 4 seasons, 2 of those blocked, and most misses were from 50 plus. What do you think? So here's the interesting thing. I just thought it was an interesting tweet. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Alex Henry. I think the talent and ability is there. The physical ceiling, much like Dylan Raiola's, is very high. Alvano's ceiling is just as high as Henry's, and Henry's obviously legend. But let's talk about Tristan real quick and how a non-ex kicker who knows nothing about kicking thinks maybe there's something out there that could help him just a smidge. All right, he was 1 of 3 in the spring game. I mean, a couple of the field goals weren't even long. They weren't very pretty, but a season ago, 2023 stats, 9 of 15, 60% of his field goals he made. Okay, long of 55 yards, made 100% of his extra points. Never take that for granted because it sure is a pain in the butt when you miss one. Now, when you break it down a little bit more, he's 2 of 2 from 20 to 29 yards. All right, we'll take that. 4 of 5 from 30 to 39 yards. Not bad. I'm going to skip the next session, come back to a 50 yards plus. He was 1 of 1. That's all not bad. That's actually pretty good. His long on the year was 55 yards, by the way. It was the 40 to 49 yard range that got him. He was 2 of 7. Okay, that was the one that got him. All right. Now, we all remember, this is the guy that made a 40 to 49 yard, 45-yard state championship winning field goal inside Memorial Stadium as time ticked off the clock. He's got that clutch gene. He's got the ability to do it. In a high-pressure situation, he's shown it. Here's what it comes down to for me. It's almost like baseball. If you know anything about baseball, it's so mental. Baseball is so mental. There's a reason why a guy who can have like a 375 batting average can, for over the month of June, go 1 of 30. Okay, a lot of it is that mental confidence, getting in that mental rhythm, getting in that mental flow. If he can just get a couple in the bucket, I don't care if they're short ones. I don't really care. Just get a couple in the bucket, that would be huge. Nothing changes physically for a kicker major year to year, especially a young kicker like this in college. Okay, he's got the clutch gene, he's got the ability, he's got the physical capability. What I would say is he just needs to get a couple in the bucket, and the biggest thing we can do is show him support. No, it's not being a snowflake, to show him some support and love in the process while he finds that groove, because once he finds it, he's got as high a potential as anybody who's ever come through here. Okay. He also has some toughness about him. We all saw him make that touchdown saving tackle in the spring game on the punt return. So he's got some physical toughness. He's shown he can do it in the clutch in the past. Just show the man support, whether it's on social media. If you see him around town, show him support. That's not being a snowflake. That's being a good fan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Mitch Sherman will join me right after we pay a couple of bills.
RC's Boxing Production is proud to present the new prospects at the Complex. Come enjoy a show of Lincoln's best professional and amateur boxers on Saturday, May 25th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. You won't want to miss this event. It's the new prospects at the Complex on Saturday, May 25th at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, right off of Cornhusker Highway.
At Doane University, we build leaders, and that means your success and achievements come first.
At Doane University, your future is uniquely yours, and our world-class liberal arts education is just the beginning.
We invite you to schedule your campus visit and experience why Doane University will start you on your journey to your future career.
Learn more by scheduling your personal campus visit today at doane.edu/visit. See you soon.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
School tells you all about the 4 seasons: spring, summer, and so on. And then there's a way we really tell what time of year it is. Sports seasons, football season, baseball season, or even off season. Well, what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now, of course. And now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season, y'all. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolatseason.com. See you there.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Women may be complicated, but I make sure buying jewelry isn't. Your gal has a style, and you can figure this out. Is she more of a classic necklace kind of gal, or does she rock the boho chic vibe with layers of delicate bracelets? This is crucial intel. Not trusting your intel? Stop in the store and we'll sort out the details. I promise to make this super easy. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes and family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts, beer, and barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time, and you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 4th and 5th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. All right, just a minute or two, I'm going to be joined by Mitch Sherman, but really quick, and then we're going to talk a little bit of Coach Prime's insanity to close out this hour after that. As always, you can send your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, or otherwise to myself if you want Mitch to answer them to 402-464-5685. I've had a few folks reach out to me. The family and I are moving back to Lincoln. All right, had a few folks reach out to me. A few businesses reach out to me, being interested in being sponsors on this show. If you two are interested, hit up The Ticket, 93.7 The Ticket, Jake Sorensen, DP. You can message me. Okay, you can go to my website, carrikerchronicles.com. There's a contact me part. You can send me info there or Twitter. Okay, and as always, check out Carriker Chronicles on YouTube as well. But now, let's bring on the man who does a great job with The Athletic. He's a gas station coffee enthusiast, according to his Twitter bio. And check out his Locked On Nebraska podcast when you get a chance as well. Mr. Mitch Sherman, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Adam, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I can't stand coffee. Okay. I brought you on to talk coffee. Did you know that? All right. We'll get to Husker football.
We can do that. We can talk coffee.
What in the world can I do? My mom drinks it black, like just nothing in it, and like 8 cups a day. She has since I was a child. I don't get it. What can I do so that my taste buds aren't so revolted by coffee?
Well, you see that as I heard you saying there in the intro, that my Twitter bio touts the fact that I'm a gas station coffee enthusiast, which is basically like the cheapest brand of coffee you can probably get. Although I think that some of these gas stations around Omaha and Lincoln have upped their game when it comes to coffee, and it really is pretty good. But I mean, you can certainly tell a difference if you go into a high-end coffee shop and buy a $7 cup of coffee. I just prefer it's still like $1.99, and that's really my enthusiasm for gas station coffee probably has more to do with the price and the ease to be able to get it than anything.
Yeah.
I'm not a coffee snob, I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I can't talk about grinding the beans with a real coffee person. I just needed to wake myself up in the morning because I'm against my own wishes. I kind of have grown to become like a 5:30, 6 in the morning. If not, but 6 is probably even late, like 5:30 in the morning out of bed. If I'm going to get my workout in for the day, it's got to come then, or otherwise, you know how it is. You just lose focus. So at that point, I need coffee and I need something to wake me up, and gas station is the cheapest and easiest place to get it.
Okay. So what can I do? Because you're right. So I had Jake Sorensen on the show yesterday. I mean, he gets up at 4:30 every day. They've got a newborn. I don't know when this dude sleeps. And inside 93.7 The Ticket, if you haven't been there, they've got a coffee shop. I've chatted with the individual who runs it. He's going to help me the next time I'm there and introduce me to a couple of ideas he has. But what would you advise me to do in the meantime? I mean, how?
Load it up.
Because right now I'm taking way too much pre-workout.
Yeah,
okay. Right now I'm taking way too much pre-workout, and that's awful for me, especially for someone who needs to be smart about his heart. So what can I do? I need something else. Help me out with this coffee.
Well, it sounds like you might want some decaf first of all. Although that would defeat the purpose. That would completely defeat the purpose for me.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into dangerous territory because I do remember that you had the heart scare, and if you're talking about pre-workout, man, I mean, I think you're getting all of the jolt that you need from a pre-workout.
Yeah.
A pre-workout drink. So it might be best, Adam, if you stay in that category of people who just are repulsed by coffee. There are times where I wish I was repulsed by it, but now I just need it. Now it's like if it's 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock and I'm getting started with my day and I don't have that cup of coffee next to me, my energy is lagging. So if you can go without it, I might advise that. If you have to do it and you're trying to get acclimated, I would just say just load it up with some flavor, because I drink it like your mom. I drink it black, and except maybe on the weekends I'll put some creamer in there. That's my little treat to myself. But if you really want to get into it, go decaf for your personal reasons, and load it up with some flavoring.
I just know I got to figure something out. But let's talk a little bit of football. We got a couple of questions here, actually. As always, folks, send in your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, or otherwise, 402-464-5685. I'm on the Aloe Fiber VIP line talking with Mitch Sherman. The first question we have is from Robert Colwell. He goes, do you think, brother, Dayton Raiola is a possibility in the future? Do you have any idea about Dayton?
Okay. I know Dayton. Yeah, I'm down with Dayton. When I visited Dylan and Dom in Arizona a year ago, last January, like January of 23, I had a great conversation with Dayton. We were at a gym in North Scottsdale where those guys worked out, and man, Dayton was a sophomore in high school, and I swear he had grown like 6 inches since the last time I saw him, which was during the football season that year and back in Lincoln. And we saw him in Lincoln for the spring game with Dylan and Dom and Yvonne and their sister Taylor. Whole family was there or has been around. Yeah, he's a player. Dayton, even more so than Dylan, has that baseball background, and he's a lefty too. So Dayton was a big time catcher in baseball. I believe he was a catcher. I know Dylan was a catcher, but he's got a baseball physique to him. He's more. He looks more like Dominic, where he's kind of like built like a fire hydrant. Although he's tall, a tall fire hydrant. So I mean that in like the compliment.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean he's muscular. Dayton's an athlete. I'll say that. Dylan, he fashions himself after Patrick Mahomes, and he's kind of got the body type too. So I think Dayton's going to be he's going to rise quite a bit. See, the problem he's had so far is that he's been behind Dylan, and they went from Chandler, Arizona. And then they were at Pinnacle, for a semester and didn't play football there. And then he moved to Buford last year. And as a sophomore, Buford, Georgia, he was Dylan's backup. And you're not gonna get a whole lot of reps when you're behind a 5-star at your position. Although I think a lot of those games were blowouts. But anyway, he was the quarterback on the JV team and a backup on the varsity. And now he gets his shot. Like the Royals stayed in Buford, and because it's a big time school. And some intel here, but basically what my understanding is, and this comes from college coaches, is that they're happy. College coaches are happy to see him at Buford. Like, it's much better than if he had moved to Nebraska and he was playing. I'm not going to pick on a school here, but if he was playing at any school in Nebraska, like, you're going to go up against a better level of competition at Buford, Georgia. And now we're going to know. Like, you're going to know if this guy can hang and do it there and get it done and throw for a bunch of yards and touchdowns, then he's absolutely the Power 5 prospect that people think he might be. But up to this point, we don't know, because there's not really any sample size outside of, showing it up at some camps and throwing the ball well. He's a good looking athlete for sure. I think he's going to follow in his brother's footsteps, maybe not as a 5-star. We'll see, but this fall, but I definitely think he's going to be a Power 5 prospect. He's got a great personality too. He's more outgoing. I mean, Dylan has a great personality, but Dayton's just like more, he's like his mom. He's got his mom's personality where, whoever he meets is his friend. And I would love to see him succeed no matter where it's at. If he follows Dylan and there's Raiolas at quarterback in Lincoln for the next 6 years, then that's, I think, ideal for Nebraska.
I think Husker fans would be all right with that. I've seen a video of Dayton where he says "Go Big Red" for no real reason other than the camera's on him, and he just points to the camera, puts a 1 in the air, and says "Go Big Red." So maybe that's a sign right there.
I think he's even been more sold. I think he's even been more like sold on the Nebraska lifestyle for his entire life than Dylan. And you heard Dylan, and Dylan's very much into that. And you heard him talk after the spring game about how he dreamed of coming out the tunnel. Dayton's even more invested in that, I would say.
That's awesome. My other big takeaway from what you said is that Mitch Sherman just turned heel on all of Nebraska high school football. He just turned heel, if anybody knows what that means, pro wrestling turn. All right. We got a couple more comments real quick from Robert Caldwell. He sends the high fives and fist bumps. Thank you. He says, keep up the good work on all your shows. Really enjoy your take on all things. Appreciate that. Now, let's talk about Dylan. Let's say he's the starter going into next fall. I think most people believe that's going to be the case. Nobody's been named just yet. But let's say he is. Seems to be a logical assumption to make at this point. And the expectations, and I talked about those before we brought you on, for Dylan are incredibly high, and for obvious reasons. And then what he did at the spring game, matched or surpassed anybody's expectations for what he could have done in his first spring game. But what do we need from our starting quarterback next year? I don't know that we need all of that. What do we need from our starting quarterback next year, Mitch?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. And that's how Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield and Glenn Thomas are looking at it. Like, you don't need him to be the 5-star. He doesn't need to live up to that as a true freshman. Now, when he gets further in his career, yeah, I mean, the expectation would be that if it goes according to plan, like, there's a time where he's a Heisman candidate. There's a time where he's a first-round draft pick prospect. But that's not what Nebraska needs from him in 2024. It needs a steady presence, someone who's going to make smart decisions. And you saw some of that in the spring game. I thought some of the plays that Nebraska was most pleased with, and I was most impressed with because it was his first time ever playing on that field, are when he threw the ball away, when he made the decision not to try to force something that wasn't there, threw it out of the back of the end zone or put it in a place where only his receiver had a chance to catch it. Those to me were more impressive even than like the touchdown throws that he made. So they need that. They need that from him as a true freshman. They need him to involve the players around him. He doesn't have to be the entire focus of the offense. I mean, the quarterback is always going to be the focal point, but there are enough weapons as long as Nebraska stays healthy and doesn't have a disastrous offseason and preseason when it comes to its receivers and tight ends being able to get on the field. Like, he's got to be able to rely on those guys and get the ball to them. And you saw some stuff in the RPO game, I thought, on just a couple of plays. They didn't put a ton of that out there, but they showed just enough to make their opponents early in the season have to respect it. And if you watch that film and you see him throw that little RPO pass to the tight end in the flat, that was something new that Nebraska didn't do last year. But that really makes you salivate, I think, if you're a Nebraska fan, to know that they've got that in their arsenal. It's an easy throw for him, and he can make it, and I think he will make it. And they just need him to do that kind of stuff, like the long pass plays, the throws to Jalen Lloyd over the top, the stuff to Isaiah Nair over the top. Yeah, it's going to be there. It's going to come. It's going to be a part of what they want to do. But I don't think that's like the number one priority for Dylan. It's avoiding turnovers, being a smart player, and just managing the offense as a true freshman.
You make a great point with the RPO game to Thomas Fidone and other tight ends and maybe big-bodied wide receivers over the middle. What type of a season? Because Thomas Fidone, highly recruited, okay, as we know, had a couple of injuries, came back, played well last year. What can we expect out of him this year? Because this is a guy, as much as anybody, obviously any pass catcher, but could benefit from a quarterback who takes care of the ball, maybe is a little bit more accurate and consistent with his passes. What do you think we can expect out of Fidone potentially this year?
A big season. I mean, this is the first time that he's gone through an off season and been healthy. Last year, he was still coming off that second knee injury, and everybody was just kind of biting their fingernails to hope that he could finally survive a spring where he wasn't hurt. And even as the year approached, it was like, okay, well, it looks good, but he hasn't done it yet in a season. Going into last year, the only experience he had on the field in season in college were a couple of reps against Wisconsin the year before, where honestly it was just like an introduction to college football. He got knocked on his butt, and it was like, welcome to the Big Ten West moment. And then last year, he started to come into his own, and now he has all of that under his belt. So it's like a night and day difference as far as his confidence and his experience, and he's had a year to be in the weight room. And Thomas said he was up around 260, or maybe Matt Rule said that Thomas was up around 260. And I thought when we talked to him this spring, you could tell he looked bigger, like in the upper body and his shoulders. Like I thought after the spring game, maybe he had ice on his shoulders, and that was just him, in a t-shirt. He's that much bigger. Like, so that's a scary thought, because if you're a defense that's facing Nebraska this year, because you saw what he did in high school and just like the freaky athleticism. I'll never forget going to watch him before he committed to Nebraska, when he was, I think he was the number 1 or number 2 tight end in the country, depending on which recruiting ranking you were looking at. And I went out to Lewis Central, and I was getting out of my car. I just parked alongside the practice field, and I'm walking up, and I'm like kind of scanning the field. Okay, where's Fidone? And I see this big body running over the middle on a play and jumping up in the air. Like he was so far away, I couldn't even like look at his face or see the number on his jersey, but he goes like 11 and a half, 12 feet up in the air to get his fingertips on a ball and comes down with it. Any other player that you might have found in like the Omaha metro area that year, it's an overthrow. And it's just a practice play, but I'm like, okay, well there he is. I mean, I found him as I was walking up to the field. That's the kind of stuff that he can do. And I think this is the year where you can start to really see some of that at Nebraska. But I mean, the ceiling, I don't know. I mean, he caught 25 passes last year, and I know he wasn't like thrilled with that production. I don't know how much it'll be higher, I think, if he stays healthy, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like he's going to catch 70 passes. I mean, because they've got good receivers, and they have other tight ends. Like, I mean, you put Carter Nelson into this offense, he's one guy. He might be the only guy, but he's one guy who's every bit as athletic as Fidone. And, he may come in and they may be able to share some receptions. And you got Ismail Smith-Flores, who I think is going to come into his own this year as a tight end in this offense. Nate Borkercher, different kind of athlete than Fidone and Carter Nelson, but he's going to get some catches and got a big one in the spring game from Heinrich Harburg. So they're pretty stacked at tight end as far as having guys who can catch the ball. So it's going to have to be spread around, but Thomas is a special athlete for sure.
Now, I believe I'm correct in this. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Brock Bowers and Fidone that were 1 and 2 in the country that year as far as being highly rated tight ends? Is that correct?
Yeah, the Georgia, just recent draft pick, who was, you could say maybe the best college football player in the country last year, and even the year before. I believe they were in that same class, that 2021 class. So that was the COVID year where those guys, Fidone came in the same time as Teddy Prohaska and Heinrich Harburg, and they really didn't get to spend time on campus while they were recruited because you couldn't be on campus. I do believe, yes, that was the same year Bowers came out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bowers was just taken 13th overall by the Raiders in the NFL draft. I can't believe he wasn't top 10. I've said all year the two best football players in American college football are Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. Okay. But last question I got for you, defensive side of the ball. We don't have official details on Bly Hill or Demetrius Bell and their injuries during the spring game. At least I haven't heard any. Okay, if you have, let us know. But my question is, if Bly Hill isn't able to play right away out the gate to start the season, who do you think can step up in that cornerback role?
Well, they're definitely going to have to get somebody ready and then hope for the best. And I think that the Demetrius Bell on the offensive side, I think it's very I don't think that he'll be back in time to play next season. I don't know. Maybe it's an end of the season kind of thing, like what Nebraska did with Marquise Buford this last year, the safety who came back and played in 4 games and still redshirted. Although Demetrius is already redshirted, so there's not a lot of sense in limiting him. If he can play, he'll play. I don't think it looks great for him right now. Bly Hill, I think there's real hope that they can have him. Now, does that mean that he's ready to go on August 31st against UTEP? It's probably too early to say. But even if you can get him for like the Big Ten season to be at 100%, then that's a win. If so, they got to have people ready in the meantime. And I mean, I look first to Jeremiah Charles. People remember Jeremiah Charles from the dunk contest at PBA. Yep. Just a ridiculous athlete. Kind of in the Jalen Lloyd mold. He's the Jalen Lloyd of Nebraska defense, and those two are really close. And I wrote a story about the two of them going through track season this year. They're both 50-foot triple jumpers, 24, 25-foot long jumpers. Jeremiah is a crazy athlete. So he's got the skills to be able to play the cornerback position. It's just being refined and understanding all of his responsibilities and playing within himself. Mario Buford, Marquise's younger brother, who's a true freshman and was an early enrollee this spring. He's a highly regarded prospect and is somebody who could compete for time if Bly Hill's not ready to go at the start of the season. And they may look at Malcolm Hartzog. I know they want to play him at safety this year, and they hope they can play him at safety. They feel like that's his better position, more natural position, and he shifted back and forth between corner and safety last year. But if they're in a situation of need because of an injury or there's another injury, you may see Malcolm Hartzog, who thrived as a corner in his true freshman season 2 years ago. You may see him switch back and play more of that position. But I do think they want to find a home for him where he's not going back and forth in the middle of the season between corner and safety. And ideally that's at safety. So maybe it comes down to Jeremiah Charles and Mario Buford.
All right, Mitch, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate the coffee tips as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're going to pay some bills and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised in Lancaster County, learning the value of hard work and grit at a young age. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. I know that families and businesses in our community need lower taxes, lower cost of healthcare, and a great education. That's why, as your senator, I helped pass the largest tax cut and made the most significant investment in education in Nebraska history and worked to reduce the cost of healthcare. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 14th. Paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
Are you ready to take your seeding season to the next level? Now's your chance with Landmark Implement's early order program. Don't miss out on the best deals of the season on new John Deere air seeders and drills, including the N500C Central Commodity System. Experience the ease of operation with the new N500C's intuitive design, simplifying your seeding process and saving you valuable time in the field. Lock in the largest cash discount, snag the best financing rate, and ensure availability on a new drill. Contact your local Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Hi, this is State Senator Carolyn Bozin. Education is a cornerstone to building a strong, vibrant community. I voted for the historic increase in funding for education in the legislature. As a state senator, wife, and mom, I believe Lincoln is a great place to work and raise a family. My husband Reggie and I are local business owners and understand the valuable role of education in our community. This is Carolyn Bozin, and I am asking for your vote on May 14th, paid for by Bozin for Legislature.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner service check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you really need it. Call Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
High schoolers, unleash your creativity and learn about potential careers in broadcasting at the Digital Expressions Media Camp. Have fun, make friends, and get hands-on experience with video and radio production June 9th through the 14th at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. Scholarships are available from the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, and spots are limited. Learn more at digitalexpressionscamp.com. That's digitalexpressionscamp.com.
RC's Boxing Production is proud to present the new prospects at the Complex. Come enjoy a show of Lincoln's best professional and amateur boxers on Saturday, May 25th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. You won't want to miss this event. It's the new prospects at the Complex on Saturday, May 25th at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, right off of Cornhusker Highway. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Highball Bar in downtown Lincoln is open and located just north of 11th and O Street. Highball Bar offers a vibe and atmosphere like no other, making it the perfect place to grab a drink or beverage. Highball Bar features great events such as Karaoke Sunday, $4 Cheetos on Mondays, Jack Daniel's specials on Wednesdays, and much more. Make Highball Bar your go-to spot after a hard day at work or on the weekend. Highball Bar, located at 122 North 11th Street in downtown Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day. It'll be breezy too with an afternoon high around 74. Tonight, showers and storms are likely with a low around 48. And tomorrow, a few lingering showers and storms in the morning, then probably sunny skies for the afternoon with a high around 64. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
You guys talk about songs that you love. Is there a song that you absolutely loathe in this world?
Oh, there is, and I can't think of them right now. I'm just picking Ozzy Osbourne song.
I despise with all my being Benny and the Jets by Elton John. I hate that song. Jersey Mike's or Chick-fil-A.
Chick is good. Jersey Mike's, I'm going to say it'd be 90.
Come on.
90.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Old school with DP and J.
Very small percentage of players, coaches, administrators thinking like, I'm planting my flag here. Nick Saban's run probably won't happen. It takes a very unique person and personality to be comfortable where you are, be strong enough to push to get what you need, and then also be very strong enough in a player's standpoint to advocate for yourself at the right time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Hopefully you're all having a glorious case of the Fridays, which is opposite of the case of the Mondays. All right, so I heard the advertising early break this morning and songs that they despise. One song immediately popped into my head. Not only is the song itself annoying, and I heard it once, that would have been enough, but I got 6 kids, but I got 4 who played it over and over and over and over and over. Baby Shark. I mean, good Lord. I mean, hearing that thing once was enough to make me never want to hear it again. And then I heard it no less than about 8 billion times, rounding down with that. Baby Shark. That's the one I can't stand. All right. Shout out to Nebraska baseball real quick. They got a 28-15 record. Okay. 10-5 in the Big Ten. They did get swept by Creighton. I look forward to the day when we stomp a mud hole in Creighton and walk it dry, not just in baseball, but in basketball. They aren't even good enough to have football, but Nebraska baseball, here's why I'm bringing them up, other than just to shout them out in general. I'll get to Nebraska softball here in a second. They beat Kansas State 8-0 on Wednesday night in Jax. Brockett, congratulations. Through the first no-hitter for Husker baseball since 1954. Think about that. Holy smokes. That's 70 years, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that was pretty cool. First no-hitter since 1954. All right, Nebraska softball shout-out as well, 27-21 on the season. They're having a pretty solid season so far, even without Jordy Ball. They got some good players with or without her. Look forward to having Jordy back next year. All right, real quick, before we chat about Coach Prime's insanity, as always, you can check out the Carriker Chronicles at carrikerchronicles.com. Also, check it out on the Tube of You, the Carriker Chronicles YouTube show. Check out 93.7 The Ticket. Go to theticket.com. They're on YouTube. They're on podcast platforms. They're on TV. They're everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss out. All right. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. And if you're sick of hearing Deion, you don't have to listen. You can turn the station. Don't turn the station. Just turn it down and turn it back up when I'm done talking, because I don't want you to turn away. But here we go. Deion Sanders and his son Shadur, if you hadn't heard, come out from that rock you've been living under. But they may be public enemies number 1 and 2 at this point, but they aren't backing down. You got to give them credit for that. But the father-son duo doubled down on their feelings toward a former Colorado football player, okay, after being critiqued on social media recently. Now, The Athletic published a story on Monday, okay, April 29th, describing how Coach Prime handled certain players on the Colorado football team. Okay, one particular former player, Xavier Smith, claimed that he was brought to tears over the fact that the greatest cornerback of all time, an NFL legend, never tried to get to know him. And instead of being a compassionate coach, he was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves. I had 2 reactions to this. One was in defense of Prime. One was in defense of Xavier here. So first and foremost, I've had coaches who couldn't care less about you. I've had coaches who would walk right by you in the hallway and not look at you, let alone say hi, let alone engage, let alone act like they give 2 cents to this side of a monkey's rear end about you. I had those guys. If that's how Coach Prime is, that sucks. You got to do better. That being said, I never once went public with that information. Okay, it's probably the first time I've ever talked about it, and it's simply because of this situation, article, whatever you want to call this, that I've been looking at this morning for the show. And it's just like, well, don't whine about it. Do something about it. Earn playing time. Get on the field. Now, here's the other part to this. Okay, in Xavier's defense, Prime basically said you need to get in the portal after spring. Now, I never had a coach tell me that, mostly because the transfer portal didn't exist back then. I'd like to think I was also good enough to at least be kept on the roster. Okay, even if I wasn't playing my best at times, especially when I was a younger guy, trying to find that consistency, which is so hard to find. Okay, now, Shadur, it's interesting, because this isn't just a player sticking up for his coach. This is a son sticking up for his dad. Shadur took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to defend his father, and in a way kind of belittle Smith's talent in the process. And I quote, "I don't even remember him, TBH." He wrote, "Bro had to be very mid at best," end quote, which kind of opened the floodgates for other players to get involved, other fans. My Lord, what was it, 15 million reactions or views to that tweet within just a few hours? Okay. Now, other people did join in. All right. Colorado wide receiver Caleb Mathis shared footage of himself outperforming Xavier Smith during practice last spring. Now, this was interesting because Xavier Smith's teammate, Austin Peay teammate, Jaheim Ward, defending him by reminding Mathis that he only had 38 yards receiving last year. This led to a podcast host sharing Ward's career statistics, which were just 36 tackles over the last 3 seasons. Coach Prime's obviously got to get on this. One of the greatest trash talkers of all time. Whether you like it or not, Coach Deion Sanders shared his reaction to the underwhelming stats, writing, "Lord Jesus." Ward decided to basically, Lord Jesus was what he was saying. He also kind of went on to talk about how Shadur was going to be a top 5 pick, things of that nature. You know, just that tweet in itself I found interesting. Number one, I mean, that can be a lot of pressure to put on somebody, let alone a father to a son, let alone an NFL Hall of Famer, all-time great to his son. Okay. To project something like that before you've even taken a rep in a season practice yet, while that is the expectation, and everyone knows that, I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. Okay. Now, elsewhere on social media, I should say, social media was not fond of Coach Prime talking down on a player, and there were several negative tweets that were sent his way. Okay. I will give him this, man. Shedeur and Dion, either they love the limelight so much that they don't care, or they've got some of the thickest skin you've ever seen, because they were not swayed. Even when someone pointed out that the Buffaloes had a 4-8 record last year and tried to insult Shedeur, okay, because this is what Dion wrote. He goes, he will be a top 5 pick. All right, Sanders wrote, where's your son going? He goes, LOL, I got time today. First of all, when does a college football coach ever have time? And then Jaheim Ward responded with, damn, it's crazy. I got more pass deflections than your son. He puts up Shiloh Sanders stats. Okay, so here's the deal. If you're Colorado, you knew to a degree what you were getting in with Coach Prime. They had to be happy to have him. Yes, they beat Nebraska recently. We don't have room to talk trash until this fall, and hopefully we beat them, stomp a mud hole in them, walk them dry on Memorial Stadium, on the turf inside Memorial Stadium. We can't really talk a lot of trash because they've beaten us 3 times in a row. But we're still way more relevant than Colorado was. So they had to be excited to get Coach Prime because he was going to bring eyeballs, attention, national attention, scrutiny, everything to Colorado. I wonder if they knew they were going to get this. When you've literally got your former players going at your coach, and then your starting quarterback going at the former players, and then the coach responding to whoever Coach Prime was responding to, I forget even who it was at this point, jabbing at other people and then pointing out how great his son is. Like, this is not good. I love that Coach Prime is old school. I love that he's honest. You could argue that other coaches, instead of telling Xavier Smith, hey, to get out, it's not going to work here, they could have done jerk-like things like give him 5 a.m. workouts or do other things to him to just make their life hell because they didn't have the guts to tell him to get out. So there's something to be said for being honest and upfront. Something to be said for, I don't know, maybe showing a little bit. Like, Matt Rule is big on relationships and showing his players that he cares. That's why 3 people have entered the portal. 3? Which seems like a ton after it was 0 for months, which is still dead last in the Big Ten as far as amount of players to enter the transfer portal. We've had the least amount, which is what I mean. You could argue that's first, last, however you want to look at it. We have the least amount of players enter the transfer portal. I mean, I swear to God, Asia has transferred in to Colorado and the rest of Earth has transferred out. I hope that analogy makes sense. Basically, a lot of people are coming and going, unlike any other place in America. It's entertaining. I'm going to keep talking about it because it's entertaining. I know not everybody likes that. That's okay. But I will tell you this. I wonder if the people who hired Coach Prime at Colorado are happy now. I said I was going to tell you something, and I asked a question. Let me ask you this. I wonder if the people at Colorado who hired Coach Prime are happy now. I'd have to imagine they're more happy than unhappy because people are talking about Colorado where they haven't been doing that for about a decade. Colorado had 1 winning season when they went to the Pac-12 championship in the past decade, and that was it. And that was like 2019, I think. But I wonder if they're happy about all of this. All of this is not good. As much of a fan of Dion as I am as a player, as entertained as I am by him as a coach, as much as I consider him to be a celebrity amongst celebrities, all this is not good. It's way too much out there. It's way too much conflict. How are you going to build team unity? How are you going to build camaraderie? How does anybody feel like you're going to have their back if you're Coach Sanders? Other than your sons, does anybody else on that team legit believe you're going to have their back? Travis Hunter, is that it? So what is that, 3, 4 guys? Man, I don't like Colorado football. I can't help but root for Coach Prime. I know that doesn't make any sense. I hope you can distinguish the difference. But I wonder how happy the people of Colorado are now that they hired Coach Prime. Going to be a fun season to watch. And man, I can't wait till they come to Lincoln. Can that please be a night game? Can that please be a night game? Got to come to it hydrated. You know what I mean when I say hydrated, but be safe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the bones.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron